Right, come on in, Tyler. It's cold out there. Shut that door. As Larry Grayson used to say. You don't know who Larry Grayson is, do you?
No.
You'll have to Google that one. Right. Okay, so we are in our Land Rover Discovery 4. We have our small Android head unit fitted. And we are, in this video, going to do a quick summary. We're going to show you some of the screens in here. And we are going to talk about what we've gained in terms of new functionality by fitting this over the standard OE screen. We're going to talk about what we've lost. We have lost some functionality like 4x4 info, and we'll go through those. And we'll also then go through the things we've kept. So hopefully it will help people make the decision. Now, let's be clear. This only applies to this small Android screen, and this only applies to the earlier Land Rover Discovery 4s. So this is the ones that had the Denso system, and I'll put the picture on the screen now that shows you the screen you will have if you've got the Denso one and what the unit will look like. The later ones were the Bosch ones, the early ones. This car was the Denso ones. Now, the company that make this in China, they have access to the Bosch units. So they have fully decoded the touch screen. So I'm led to believe, but I haven't tested it, so don't test it for yourself. I believe them that the later Bosch system, they have decoded more of the touch functionality. So you should get more. So if you've got the later one, you're in luck. But let's go. We've got the early one. Right, so let's start it up. So the boot up time, it's a little bit slow. I think they could look at reconnecting the power button. I think there's a power that goes live when you open the doors on this car. Again, it's not something we're going to look at, but if anyone's looked at that, you could take the power feed from a different wire, and I think it would boot up a lot quicker. So we've got it booting up in the OE screen. So the trouble is, it displays the original screen and it's super bright, it's super clear. When I looked at it on the camera the other day, it doesn't do it justice, Tyler, does it? It looks much better in real life than it does on the screen there. It's super bright, it's bigger than the normal screen. Now, but you can tap away all you like. And in fact, you actually think, I'm stuck in this screen. So the first thing I'll show you is how you get back from the OE system to get back to the, is you have to just press and hold anywhere on the screen for 5 seconds. Okay, and it reverts you back. So let's start here. So this is the sort of screen, and there's only 2 screens. It gives you an arrow to go more, but there is nothing. So you've got these 2 4-tile screens. So you've got the phone. Now, you've got the original screen, which takes you back into the original screen. You've got media, you've got navigation, you've got CarPlay. Now, CarPlay is, it would be nice if that was the default one. That's where most of you guys want to know, have we got CarPlay? And we have got CarPlay, and there's some apps and there's some meters. So, right, let's start. How should we do this in a logical order, Tyler? Let's go into the original screen. Let's go back into the original screen and let's look what we have got that we can use and what we haven't. Okay, so if we go to the original screen, so as discussed, you've got nothing that you can do via the screen, but we do have some other ways of activating this. So if we press the mode button here, we can then change to radio, and the radio will work. So there is no amplifier in this unit. This only changes the screen. So we're still using, for all the sound, the original car.
That is new.
There we go, car amplifier. Now, one thing you cannot do is set these radio presets. So if you are going to fit one of these systems, first thing you want to do is make sure you get all your memories programmed on your radio or your DAB radio. So let's swap to DAB. Ooh, okay. You have to press it. There you go. So we're on DAB. So you might want to save all these, because after you've saved them, there's no way of saving once you swap there. So if you're going to use the original DAB system, and there is an advantage to using the original DAB system because you've got the roof mounted antenna, so you'll get better reception, I believe, and it's a good quality. We found that yesterday, didn't we, Tyler? The DAB module is behind that rear panel. Yeah, so I suspect that the DAB system using that is good, and you can still do the volume up and down on your steering wheel, and you can do some limited, you can swap channels and tracks and stuff as well. So you do have the functionality that you hear. We're on radio 4, there we go, Tyler. So that's that screen. Now you can also go onto the nav screen, but don't get excited, and you don't want the original nav. The maps are 10 years out of date now anyway, but you cannot agree, and I've worked out no way of pressing any buttons that's agree. So to get back to the home screen, you have to press this home button, which navigates you back here. So navigation's a no. Phone, and we can get to the phone by pressing the phone button. Okay, and my phone is paired to this and we can use the phone, but I wouldn't recommend it necessarily. I would suggest you unpair your phone. I would leave your phone paired in the unit here, but I would unpair it or forget the device from your handset, because otherwise you've got two options to connect the phone. You can use the OE Land Rover system, or you can use the Android system, and I would recommend using the Android system. I think you'll get much more functionality, and you can use Siri to, hey Siri, call Tyler, and it will do all that, and we'll have a look at that. Is it going to call you now? No. Right. Again, you can't get off this screen or touch anything. So there's the audio video screen, there's the phone. The other thing you can't do is, if you go to the settings, you can't do all the fade. You can't adjust anything here. So make sure before you install one of these systems, you get your fade, your balance, your bass and everything. Now, there is a graphic equalizer built into this, but that just controls the output from this to your car amplifier. Your fundamental car amplifier settings you have to set before you change this screen. The only one you can do is volume. That's all you've got control over. Right, so we're doing okay here, aren't we? Right, info, what is info? That's all to do with traffic information, isn't it? Which is no use to us. So let's just go back to the home. So navigation, phone we've discussed, audio, video we've discussed. We can do the CD, DAB, 4x4 information. So this is when you're off-road. It shows you your axle articulation. It shows you, I think there's even a compass and some other bits. It shows you your diffs, whether your diffs are locked and stuff. That is not available to you, but I don't really think you need that much. But some people might find that useful, and maybe the makers will make that available. And settings, to my shame, I'm not even sure what is in settings, and we are going to actually revert this car back to standard, and we will have a look what is in there. Screw it. Now there's one other function I should mention. We haven't activated it in here yet, but for those of you that have got a fuel burning heater under the bonnet, there's an option to have a timed heater, so you can get your car to warm up for you every morning at 5 o'clock. It starts this little heater under the engine. So you would also lose functionality of that. So if that's something you currently use, that's another thing to consider you will lose. Right, so let's have a look. That's mainly covered the original system. Now, one thing to note is when you go into reverse, no, we don't have a reverse camera on this car. If we had a reverse camera on this car, I believe that screen would have flipped to reverse camera. And what's good is if we go into the Android system, press and hold. If you're in the Android system and you select reverse, it automatically flips you to the OE system. So if you've got the OE reverse camera system, reverse camera fitted, it will automatically, which is cool, jump out of Android land back into OE land. Right, so that's basically what you keep when right. So what do you gain? Now the biggie, and we'll start with it, is CarPlay. So those of you who don't know what CarPlay is, where have you been? CarPlay is a system that connects to your phone via Wi-Fi, and then you can send music data from your, oh gosh, there we go, we've got, my kids have been playing with my phone again. And what you can do is you've got a series of apps here. So we are using Apple CarPlay. Android Auto, I believe, is much the same. But basically, for all the apps on your phone, any that Apple deems to be not distracting, so they're not going to let you have an app on your phone for any like gaming or driving or anything like that, because it would distract you. The only ones they let you have are approved ones that you would sensibly be able to use while driving without causing you distraction. So there are some settings ones, some messages. I've got Waze, WhatsApp, Google Maps. So it selects, and you can select from your phone which apps. Again, they have to be approved for use in a car, but which apps you can send. So I was discussing the phone earlier. I would suggest you use the CarPlay phone system. The sound quality will be better. You can use Siri to control it. And you don't need to pair with it, because once you're connected with CarPlay, your phone is connected to this screen. So everything on your phone, your messages, everything will be there. Right, and that will also give you Spotify. I don't have Spotify downloaded onto my phone, so it's not showing there, but you can get Spotify, YouTube Music. There are other music streaming services that you can have and play direct from here. But for most of us, the biggest advantage is going to be the ability to use things like Waze. So we are using the maps, we can get voice guidance. Waze gives you live traffic information. If there are police cameras, it gives you all those warnings. So that is a massive bonus. So CarPlay absolutely rocks. You can do your sound, your navigation, your phone, all through CarPlay, directly linked to your phone. Now, God, I'm waffling, Tyler. Breathe, right. So we do have another option. So there is on the side of this unit somewhere a small SIM card slot, and you can put a SIM card in there. I don't know if that will work with CarPlay. Probably not, because that SIM won't be running, that will only link to a phone, but it will give you live data, and you can set up a hotspot and other internet services you can use. I haven't tried that, but is that making some sense, Tyler? Yeah. So that's CarPlay. So I think most people know and understand what CarPlay can do, and that will be the main. And if we want to go back to the home, there's this little faded spot. You can't really see it very clearly there, is it? Can you? You probably won't even see it. There's a little dot there, and if you press that dot, it brings up a menu and you can go back to the home screen. You can also press this one here to get back to the main menu. Press for 5 seconds, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that'll take you back. Now, what else? Meter is an interesting one. So this is a set of dials that allows you to see in kilometers. For those of you, again, I can speak to the people. Now, they've put the red line at 6,000, but that must be for a petrol, because my red line's like way lower than that. I don't think we'll get my diesel to go to 6,000, but it does work. It is. Oh, we still look. Okay. If I rev the car. So this is reading data from the CAN bus, and I've done the CAN bus video, so it can see a lot of the data on the CAN bus. And you can see if we're driving along, it would give you speed. There is no way to configure this. Now, I'm just going to see if you turn the lights on. I haven't actually tried this, Tyler. Let's see if we turn the lights on. Does anything? Oh, look, it auto dims. I was hoping that. So it can see from the CAN bus connections that we've turned the lights on, and it auto dims the screen. Right. We've done that, we've done music, we've done phone, we've done navigation. Now, which one does it actually go to when you press navigation? So it defaults to Google Maps, which is perfectly good, but you can select that in CarPlay anyway. So again, you can see the dot a lot better here. Can you see that dot? And I think you can actually move this to different places if you so desire. Whoa, it's a bit weird, isn't it? But there you go, hold on, whoa, and then go home, and that will go there, and then we can go back to the home there. So we've discussed quickly these, navigation, settings. There are limited settings in here. You can set various sound levels for the different applications. You can set your brightness, you can set language, you can set how your rear view camera is configured. You can add a rear view camera if you don't have one. You can add one to the camera output on here. You can go back on here. Now, where was the wireless thing, Todd? That was at network. So here, so if you put a SIM card in here, you can set your Wi-Fi access point. Interestingly, the hotspot name is My Audi, which is a little bit interesting. I think I might feed that back to the people that made this one for us. So you can add a hotspot, so all your kids, if they've run out of data and they're sat in the back, they can use their iPads and stuff off the SIM card here, and that will set up a hotspot for you. Right, I will just run through my list, and I will probably share this spreadsheet with you guys of what we've, just to summarize, functions we've kept, what we've lost, and what we've gained. Right, so I'll try and put it on the screen there. So if you put my face one side, Tyler, I'll put the screen on the other. So what functions are you going to lose? So I'll just summarize. So you'll lose the OE navigation, not a loss. They're 10 years out of date. It's got no live data. You'll lose the ability to pair a phone to the OE system. Again, you've got a phone system on the new system, so I wouldn't worry too much about that. Audio video, you lose the ability to store stations, radio stations, if you're using the factory DAB system, so set those up before. You lose the ability to do your tone, balance, fade on the amplifier. You've got no way of changing the amplifier settings, so make sure you set those up before you do it. 4x4 information, we've lost the 4x4 information mode. Here's one I haven't mentioned. Good job we did the list. You can't set your clock. So if you change your battery, I'm not sure, because the clock seems to be set. It gets it off the CAN bus, but there's no way of setting your system time, because you used to do that through the touchscreen. So beware of that. That could be a tricky one, actually. Right, what's the next one? Yeah, and we also lose the timed heater. If you use the timed heater touch control, you also lose that ability. Right, what do you gain? So you gain Android Auto or Apple CarPlay, and I touched on the benefits of those connected directly to your phone. You can read your messages. You can say, hey Siri, call Tyler. You can, hey Siri, read messages, and it will read them to you, which is really good. You've got up-to-date maps. So if you're using Waze or Google Maps, you've got bang up to the minute map data for no charge, no discs you've got to buy, no dodgy downloads, sticking USBs in to update your map data. It's coming straight from Google Allways or Apple Maps, which is really good. And also you've got a bigger screen. So if you do use the car for navigation, that other screen was pretty dim, not dumb, pretty dim and small. You've got a much better screen, better positioned, I feel, as well. You've got voice control, I've just mentioned, via Siri. You can read your text messages. You've also got live traffic data, so if there's traffic jams or police cameras or an accident, depending which app you use, Waze is brilliant. It tells you if there's a hedgehog in the road, and it's all done on a community. You can report it if you see something broken down, so that's good. You also gain the ability to have a SIM card in your car and have permanent internet access via Wi-Fi hotspot in your car, if that's something for you. Right, functions you keep. So you can still use the car CD player, you can still use the car DAB radio, you can still use the car phone system if you want. I don't think I'd recommend that, but you can control that on your phone. You can still use the steering wheel controls here. Again, the voice controls over here will work, but only if you're using the OE system. They won't end the call on the CarPlay. Right. You can still keep the fascia buttons. So all these fascia buttons pretty much still work. So you've still got that. And you're still maintaining the original speakers, amplifier, wiring in your car. You haven't really modified the quality of sound. Right, and you still, if you've got the OE reverse camera, you still maintain that. Right, that's what, have I gone through them all? Yeah. So there we go. So I hope that has helped you. There's only one thing, if you've been following my series on the install, there's one thing we didn't originally have any sound. And there's two wires in this that were in the bundle of wires here, and they were labeled as ground, GND, and ground A? A ground and ground. You have to, for some reason, link those together, and then the sound system worked, and we've got the cable going round into the back of the auxiliary. And the sound quality is using the same amplifier, so I've noticed no improvement or degradation in the sound over the original system, which is pretty much what you'd expect, I think.
Yeah, because to get sound, you're pretty much just attaching an aux, aren't you?
Yes, so that you could get interference on this aux cable. It could be exposed to static, but I haven't noticed any static. I would say it's on par with the original system. So there we go. Sorry if it's a bit waffly, but there it is. Now, what are we doing next? We are going to take out this system. We are going to put it back to basics. We are going to understand the functionality better. We'll probably do a video on that. And then we are going to put in the full system and see what functionality that has and doesn't have. By say full, I mean the full screen system or bigger screen system. So, right, let's get busy with that, Tyler.